Good evening from wherever you're joining from. My name is Enoch. Some call me Seth or Seth, whichever you prefer to call. I don't have problems. Um, we'll be looking at OSGeo Live today. I'm sure you're already aware of it. But before I start talking about OSGeo Live and what is it, I just want to give some background about the OSGeo, which is the Open Source Geospatial Foundation, and OpenStreetMap, how these both are connected. So that's the compass for OSGeo, it's from the OSGeo logo. And we are all around OpenStreetMap and built around OpenStreetMap. Humanitarian OpenStreetMap community wouldn't exist without OpenStreetMap, which is the primary database and community we are all part of. So without much ado, I jump straight to what is the OSGeo. This is the logo. Some of you might have seen it before or completely have no knowledge about what the OSGeo is. So the OSGeo, as I mentioned, is the Open Source Geospatial Foundation. It's a movement, community of professionals, newbies, enthusiasts, people with no knowledge about geospatial, promoting, supporting free, open, and technologies and funding around geospatial tools. Some of these tools, some of you already use, for example, QGIS is one project that we'll look at, but we use projects coming from the foundation or being part of the foundation that we are not aware of. So the OSGeo, as I mentioned, is a not-for-profit foundation, provides legal support, financial support for projects we use. It's volunteer-driven. There is no paid staff at the Open Source Geospatial Foundation. So I am not working for OSGeo. I'm part of the OSGeo Live team, which is also volunteer-driven, and because the entire OSGeo movement is a duocracy and volunteer-driven as well. We promote adoption of open geospatial technology through partnerships, software standards, data education, and outreach. Example is what is going on here. A quick history is that the OSGeo started as from a meeting in Chicago around 2006, which was financed by Autodesk. Some of you might know software which started with the Auto name. OSM, of course, has been around since 2004. If you know about the history of OSM world, you know it's been around. So OSM is older than OSGeo and arose out of the need for organizing to navigate around. Of course, the geospatial field is growing and having open standards that prevent vendor lock-in and other unforeseen circumstances. These are founding members of the OSGeo, that's the Open Source Geospatial Foundation. GDAL, we might have heard of, that is powerful, useful, so many nice things about GDAL. There is Map Server, QGIS or QGIS. There is GraphGIS and PostGIS. These are some leading open source geospatial projects in the OSGeo family and also founding fathers or members of the OSGeo. And in the beginning, this was the OSGeo logo. Until recently, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, it changed to the one you saw. So the goal is supporting open source, free and open source software development and communities. Some of our projects or some of the projects that belong to this family. 25 might be an old number because I just modified a couple of parts of this presentation, which I used for the previous interns in this program. So this list might be updated or some new projects might have adapt to as it's a continuous and living movement. There are libraries, web mapping for desktop, and many other ones. This image here kind of illustrates a bit of OSGeo and families. Some of the projects here are not OSGeo projects necessarily, but they all fit into the domain of open source free geospatial tools. This brings me now to OSM, OpenStreetMap, one word, capital O, capital S and M, and the OSGeo, of course, OSGeo projects love OSM data. I myself, I contribute to OpenStreetMap. I try to contribute to OpenStreetMap every day as a hobby, and I try to do it. And I use OSGeo tools, and OSGeo tools generally love OpenStreetMap data. An example of This is the GDAL, which is a powerful library used by both open source and proprietary tools for GIS, or for not only GIS, for further domains, have out-of-the-box support for OpenStreetMap data. That means if you take the .osm data and put it in a software that has a support for, that is using GDAL, it will automatically read or understand the data model of OpenStreetMap as we have it in the .osm file. OpenLayers leaflet is there. osm.org is running a leaflet-based map. OSM-based services as base maps. So for example, in MapBender, QGIS by default has an XYZ layer there, which is OpenStreetMap. And many other more. There is PG routing, which you can use for routing analysis. Maybe you want to do some analysis on proximity or how the transport network works in your city or stuff. PG routing, which is an OSGeo project, uses OpenStreetMap data primarily. And OSM users, of course, love OSGeo project. That is how come you see a kind of intersection between the OSGeo community and OpenStreetMap community. I contribute to OpenStreetMap. I volunteer with many OpenStreetMap communities. I preach OpenStreetMap, and I also volunteer in the OSGeo community, which is kind of a living example of how these communities intertwine and work together. And of course, in this internship, I'm sure you have already heard of QGIS. And QGIS has a lot of plugins, and it's having GDAL in there, so it has support for OpenStreetMap data out of the box, and a couple of other software and tools that exist. Annually, there is the OSGeo annual general meeting, which is happening at an event called the Force4G, free and open source software for geospatial conference. Just like in the OpenStreetMap community, we have a state of the map, global, regional one is the same. I have a slide which is dedicated to that. And this, I was trying to mention that this is from 2021, but recently, 2022, there is a recent one also that is, I'll update the link when I share the slides. You can click and view of them. So the OSGeo is run by volunteers, everybody, but it's a foundation. The foundation has a board. So it's 9 elected board members. Everyone can become a board member. This here, there's going to be an election soon, and we'll have new board members and new roles or officers, or maybe the people who are already here are and also trying to continue serving. And this board, I remember I mentioned that the OSGeo is volunteer driven, meaning the board is not paid. There is no paid staff at the OSGeo. OSGeo membership is self-conferred. Everybody can become a member of OSGeo. You don't need to pay any dues, or there is nothing to sign up. There is not a membership form or any other thing that you need to do. Join a project or mailing list, maybe OSGeo Live you're interested in, whatever you're interested in. So we have about 56K members registered on the wiki, and we also have, how do you call it, 940 registration on the website, and so many more. There is charter members, which recently just got, I mean, everybody can be a charter member based on how you contribute to the community, and the charter members are the ones who vote for new board members. That's basically the difference between every member in the OSGeo and the charter member. Anybody can become a member. You don't need to have any knowledge about OSGeo. You just find an interest, if you're interested in promoting free software for geospatial, why not? Mind you, OpenStreetMap contributors always increase every day. And when you check the statistics, this is very old, from 2021, almost 1 year already. It was 8.1 million. When we check today, we can't speak about this. Local chapters is the same as in OpenStreetMap. There are local chapters in OpenStreetMap, in country-based or organization-based, or university students doing some stuff for based organizing OpenStreetMap. There are 30 plus local chapters who are the mouthpiece, so serving their countries. They organize meetups, conferences, the same as State of the Map. They organize regional conferences. And local chapters, I mentioned that there is an overlap between the communities. So somebody in OSGeo local chapter is definitely might, or a couple of them might be in in the OSM community. So we look at how OSM local chapters is connected to OSGeo local chapters. So one example is that the German local language chapter for OSGeo, which is called OSGis e.V., is the official chapter for OSMF, that's the OpenStreetMap Foundation in Germany. And this is the same as the local OSGeo chapter for the German language area. And recently, in recent State of the Map, Austria also got their local chapter as part of the OSM ecosystem. There are membership, good because it's an overlap. In other places of the world, in Africa, I don't think we have a local chapter, but on the other continent, there's a chapter for the OSMF that is in the DRC, pardon me. And then OSGeo and OSM has a good combination. There are conferences. I don't have the recent logo from Fos4G Firenze, that is in Florence. Some of you might have been there, where you see the same community or the same group of people who are running the conference for OSGeo are the same people running for State of the Map in Florence as well. And community when it's a conference. This photo is from before Corona in Bucharest, and then it was online, and recently it was physical. So Fos4G is a blend of both things covering OpenStreetMap, OSGeo, and OSM, and many more. There is a video here that's showing dancing from Fos4G. The communities, it's not about mapping or about the tools, but it's about the people. So of course, people get social, dancing, music, and run about. So there are conferences, regional levels. I will mention that in 2022, it is on Florence, and many more. You can just watch out for events that are Fos4G. When you see Fos4G, you know it's an OSGeo event, just like a State of the Map is a State of the Map, OpenStreetMap Foundation or chapter event. There are code sprints, community event. This is a place where you meet people working on things already. Maybe somebody already working on QGIs. You want to plug in QGI or something, you can get in touch, talk with them. I remember a couple of years ago, we organized a couple of them in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. That was the second Fos4G on the African continent. And meet people, have fun, learn, share. If you're a software developer, the OSGeo is a member of the Google Summer of Code. You want to contribute code to open source, not only code, but documentation as well. There are many options provided. I think you need to be a student in order you can check the requirements. And in the next round of intake, you can apply for a mentor or OSGeo. There are a lot of mentors that can support you. And also, there is documentation. Yeah, I mentioned if you don't need to write code to contribute to free software. You can also write documentations about the software, how to be used, and YARI and blah, blah, blah. There are conferences around. You see OSGeo members presenting events as well, and you can get in touch with them or talk to them more. And it's not only about software. Talk about open data, open standards, because we need standards to prevent vendor lock-in. If the standard is closed, you cannot use your, let's say, for example, your MP3 music in a VLC or in a Windows Media Player. So if the standards are open, that means we take MP3, you can play it everywhere. That's what we mean by open standard education, as we are doing science. And there is something called a Memorandum of Understanding, which is bringing different organizations of them. For some last year with the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, US, which is, you can see here, Youth Mappers and a couple of them, which helps to exchange ideas and do other stuff at the organizational level. So it's not always about software, of course, but also partnerships and other. So someone might ask, why didn't OSGeo sign a memorandum of understanding with the OpenStreetMap Foundation? Yeah, it's something that we talked about in 2006, but OpenStreetMap Foundation, the OpenStreetMap itself already integrate itself. We are friends already. There don't need to be signing any memorandum of understanding because OpenStreetMap was put in a new category called like-minded organization. As you can see from what I've said now, there is a lot of overlap, and there is already understanding signed by members already naturally. So there is no need to sign any paper, so lo and behold. There is Geo for All. If you are in academia or you are in the education field, you find more about them. You can write it down. I will speak much. The mission is to create equal opportunities for teaching and learning about geospatial tools so that it's not restricted, and using open tools and open standards ensure that you can transition to wherever you want. And they established labs and it's global, it's growing. This screenshot is from 2017, just a few dots on some continents, but it's growing as this is already maybe 5 years old. And this brings me now to the main reason why I get to talk to you today. And without that, I wouldn't be here, but all the same, it's OSGeo project. So the name is OSGeo Live, one word. We try to put the OSGeo as the foundation abbreviation and live in one word. I will talk more about this in the next slide, but this is your geospatial toolkit or compass for getting started with almost everything or anything in the free and open source geospatial domain of OSGeo project and getting started. I will pause here before I switch screens to another slide and jumping around to welcome some questions, and then we can move on. I hope I wasn't too fast. That was 20 minutes. Yeah, question time. Back to you, Madam Moderator.
Okay, it looks like we have no question in the chat yet. Any question, guys? Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
Okay, I will share my screen and then we can get going. Where is it? The meeting is okay, got it. So here, okay. There are some questions. Okay, there are no questions. So share entire screen. All right, we are back. I think I will start from here. For the OSGeo Live project. It's a project, it's run by people. Any project you can think of, you should know that there are people behind it. That is the power of free software and open source communities, is that there is a community behind it. Even if the software dies, the community stays, doesn't die, and bring up new opportunities, and the community connects. So you can find this at live.osgeo.org. I share other resources. Tells you it's self-contained bootable DVD or virtual machine based on Ubuntu. Some of the things here might be new to us. I just want to do a quick poll to see how many of you here know or have some idea of have heard of Linux or Linux before. Just a quick maybe thumbs up will do. I can see the photos. Just a reaction. Let's see. Okay, I see some familiar names already, but I haven't seen any quick thumbs up. So I'll assume that we all know about Linux already, which is a bad assumption, maybe. So I also don't know about it. So let's learn together. So this OSGeo Live, it's an operating system. By the way, what is an operating system? Operating system helps us to start our computer. I learned from primary school, as they say, is what comes on when you turn on your computer from primary school. But before I start talking about all this, on the homepage of OSGeo Live, we have some little information. There are languages here. You can see we have in English, Deutsch, Espanol. This is, I think, Finnish, French, Hungarian, and many others missing. So if you have a prominent language that you feel or you think that OSGeo Live should be translated into, you can as well. But when you scroll to the bottom, there is a link about half-hour presentation, so 30 minutes presentation, which is automatically created, and I have it here. So I go here, we will jump through it quickly, not to waste time, so I can demonstrate. Open source geospatial distribution. What is a distribution? The way you have Windows, most of us, I'm sure, might have Windows or maybe a Mac OS on our computer, or we have an Android phone. we have an iOS, an iPhone. When you restart your phone or your computer, the software that first turns on, you can't use Firefox or Google Chrome when you don't boot, you don't sign in your password. Is that not it? So what is allowing you to type your password or have your username or have your picture on the page or put your PIN to your phone before you log in is the operating system. So it's the first software that allows you to have access to your computer or your device that you want to use. So let's say it has a drawing board. So on a drawing board, if you don't have a drawing board, you can't draw anything. So an operating system is a drawing board for us. And any other thing we put on this drawing board is the application software. Example is Firefox, VLC. So these ones are softwares that you can just install now within an operating system. I hope this kind of analogy makes some kind of clarity, but if not, we will keep going and then please stop me when it gets too confusing. So OSGeo Live is based on Lubuntu. So Lubuntu is a Linux distribution. One thing is that if you use Windows or MacBook, most of these things become very complicated. So Lubuntu is based on Ubuntu. I'm sure you might have of Ubuntu before. It's also an operating system, but all of them are based on one foundation. If you want to construct a building, we need a foundation. The foundation of every operating system is called a kernel. Microsoft have theirs that they use for Windows. Apple has that they use for their operating system. And that they call Linux, or they refer to as a Linux distribution, is based on what is called the Linux kernel. Why? Because the Linux kernel is free and open source. So anybody can take it and build something innovative around it. So Ubuntu is one around it, and Lubuntu is also taken from Ubuntu. So you can see that Ubuntu was taken and they put some patches or touches to it and becomes Lubuntu. So the OSGeo Live project runs on Lubuntu. So some information recent release. So when you take this operating system, you have QGIS, you have all the softwares that maybe you have seen before, you want to try, but you find it difficult installing, and many more already packaged on it for you. You run it without installing any of it because it is pre-installed on this operating system. This you don't need to have information about. So this is how it looks like. In the base, you have something here like a start menu. It has applications. You can launch your favorite GeoSM, QGIS, and many more, which are part of it. Has a couple of tools, over 50 of all of them. They are all geospatial things or related to geospatial domain. How it works is if you want to run an operating system, you need to have the image. Is not like a VLC or Firefox or Google Chrome that you can just download and click next, and install. You need to have an image of it. So it used to be a DVD image because you can't touch it. Now nobody's using DVD these days. So it's mostly on a USB stick. So if you see OSGeo booth in any conference, you can walk to this booth and it's like, oh, I need a USB stick of OSGeo Live. Or a virtual machine. So a virtual machine allows you to run operating system within an operating system. So I am not running, how do you call it, Windows, but I can run Windows on my Linux operating system that I have now, and I can run operating system within. So I can use an operating system, different one, in another operating system, thanks to what is called virtualization. So VirtualBox is one software that allows you to do this kind of thing. There are many things going on. I talked about OSGeo already, how the projects come in. So for example, these are the desktop GIS, so we have categories for the softwares that are in the operating system. We have desktop facing ones. We have browser facing ones. I'm skipping a lot of things, just jumping into the categories, then we can look at them one by one interactively. GeoMoose is one, GeoNode for spatial data infrastructure, MapBender, GeoStyler. Some of these I personally have not used before. They are here, whatever fits your need, that's what you'll be going for. The web services, Maybe you might have not heard of this, but sometimes you do a web page, or maybe you have seen a map on the web and you want to put it in QGIS, so you have it as a background map. The web services help you deliver this. They help you also deliver vector data, raster data. These are tools that fall within the web services category. One popular one that we might all know of is GeoServer for sharing data, creating TMS. So many things happen within GeoServer there. Data stores, PostGIS, the Swiss Army knife for storing data. If you have OpenStreetMap data, you want to keep it in a database, there is already PostGIS and Postgres installed here that you can, maybe you want to learn how to use it, but you have an issue installing it. That's how you do it. There is PG routing. I mentioned it already. There is a specialized database for handling database lightweight. There is also navigation and maps where your favorite or your lovely OpenStreetMap comes in. So there is some sample data already packaged. OpenStreetMap is part. There is GeoSM here already. ID is online Marble, which is for 3D world navigation. There is GPS spoon that you can use to edit your GPS traces, and many more. Special tools, if you are doing Jupyter notebooks or you do Python and stuff, already packaged. Mapnik, R, if you are doing statistical analysis, and many others is already here. And some domain-specific GIS tools like zgrip or XYgrip, which I have never used before. Data, natural earth data is included. There is the North Carolina data set, the NetCDF, some NetCDF data is there, and OpenStreetMap data as well. There is geospatial libraries, GDAL, of course, GDAL, OGR family. There is GEOS, GeoTool Approach, and JTS, all included. All this is done by a team of people called the OSGeo Life Project Steering Committee, or PSC, which I also happen to be a volunteer at. And if you're interested in doing something, contributing, please just type live.osgeo.org, and then you get in touch and say, okay, I'm interested in joining this project. I want to help with this. What do you want to help? Maybe you don't know what you want to help with. You can translate or tell us more. So I will jump here. I have a virtual machine here. So I am using what is called the VirtualBox. It's this is the recent version. It's VirtualBox 7.0. I already have a machine here. So how do we do this? I have a machine here, but I will not run it. I will do it interactively. Now, whatever I am doing here, all of it can be found in the OSGeo Live website. So when you come here, we have contents. Contents tells you which software and tools are already here. And when you go to, how do you call it? There's quick start. Where do I see? Content, download, okay. The content, each here tells you the categories I was mentioning, and you can find detailed information about each project. So for example, desktop GIS, we have GRASS, GVC. The OSGeo logo here means it's an OSGeo project here. This is an OSGeo project that has gone through some incubation and through the entire OSGeo project incubation program, become a fully fledged OSGeo project. Those that don't have it are family and friends. The gray ones are projects that are in incubation now. And this thin small box here tells you that it's in the virtual image. So we offer, there is a legend here that you can see. When you get OSGeo Live, there are two types. There is an ISO. So when you go to download, I show you here. When you go to download, we have the OSGeo Live ISO, which is 4 gigabytes. And then we have the OSGeo Live virtual machine. So this is a highly compressed called V virtual machine disk, VMDK. When you decompress it, when you extract it, it becomes like maybe 23 gig because it's packaged with everything already. This, if you know you are going to run in a virtual box, you should get this instead. If you are going to install on existing systems or just test it, run it, you should get this. Now, the thing with Linux operating system is that you can use them without installing them. So we call it live boot. So I will demonstrate that in this machine here. I already have some machines, but I will not use it. I will just create a new machine. So I want to create a new machine. So we go to new. This information, what I'm doing here, you can find it on the homepage of the OSGeo Live project, which is home. When you go to home, when you scroll down here, getting started, how to change your language, how to install it to a hard disk, how to run it in a virtual box. So everything someone is shouting. Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. So all I am showing you now can be found here. How to even put it on a flash disk, connect it to your computer, restart, and use it without changing anything on your computer. Yes, you can do all this. Let's say you have Windows on your computer. You can mount the OSGeo Live into a USB disk, restart, and start the computer now from the USB pen drive. Then you can do everything that you wish. So I do a new machine here. I want it to be, I call it OSGeo Live. I call it hot. Be just hot, yes. I need to select an image. So here I will try to find an image. I think I should have some images already. I have it. That means I've downloaded it before. So it's called OSGeo Live. Okay. OS. Let's see. I don't find it now. Download. Let's see. OSGeo Live. Okay, it's here. 15, and I have the ISO here. So I can put it. It detects that. So at the base, I mentioned already that this operating system is built on top of, you can see Ubuntu already in the name from there. So you can see VirtualBox detects that this is a Linux, so it's 64-bit and it's Ubuntu. This alone is running. So I click next. You need to allocate, it's a machine you are creating, it's a computer. So I need to allocate some RAM for it, or maybe some CPU. Then I give it to maybe, depending on your hardware resources. If you don't have a lot of RAM, don't give the virtual machine. So virtual machine will be running as a computer. So don't give it too much RAM. I give it just a couple. I increase the CPU cost to use. So just if you have a 20 gig, don't give 19 gig to the virtual machine. The computer will just freeze. 10 is fine, 5 is fine. Then next, I don't want to create a virtual disk. All I want to do is just run without, I already have a virtual machine there, but you can create. So let's say, let's try it. We create something 25 gig. So next, and then I finish. Then there is already a machine. What is this? There is an issue. So let's say finish. Can't override medium. Okay. Let's go back. There's an issue. Create virtual hard disk now. Let's see if I bring you to. Okay, do not add. I don't want it now because I just want to show you how we run from. Yeah, continue. I don't want to. So it's called the OSGeo Live Hot Duet. Then I can start it by right clicking, and where is it? Start. Normal start, or just double click on it or click start here. Then it opens a new window. This runs as if it's a computer. This, if you have installed an operating system before, you will see that there is no difference between running this or putting a DVD in a computer and turning it on and the computer starting from it. So we try. Instead of installing, I will go back again. Let's see, I will close. I will not save sharp. Start again. I start this machine. When I start this machine, you see there are two options. There is try or install. Normally, maybe you see try at the top or install below, but I chose the first one, try or install. Maybe you can't see if the things are too tiny, please prompt me so I zoom in. It starts and the machine loads. So this is a fully fledged operating system. I increase the resolution a bit. Let's say I change it cannot scale maybe to 150. Good. This is a bit pixelated, but everybody can see somehow. This is OSGeo Live version 15. This is a whole operating. This you can install on a computer, an old one or a new one. This you can install in the cloud if you know how to do it on the internet and use it. By default, you see some things already here. There is sample data, which you can see natural lab, NetCDF, there is OpenStreetMap data, and many more. We will start from let's start from geospatial menu here, and we have browser-facing clients. So we can see there is GeoNode. GeoNode is used for sharing data or spatial data infrastructure. I can start GeoNode, and then let's see what happens. When I start GeoNode, it should show me GeoNode. I can see the data, log in, do whatever. I can also jump to, we go back to geospatial, I do desktop GIS, and we open our favorite desktop GIS. So when OSGeo Live is packaged or released, it comes with long-term release, meaning that the softwares that are packaged with this operating system are supported for a longer term. So it's not the most recent one, like the most shiny one, but the most stable one that is packaged. So this is QGIS. We have already some plugins coming. When I go to manage plugins, where do I go back? I go over to plugins, manage plugins. You should see that already before this comes your way. If you don't have internet, you will see installed plugins, and you already see a lot of plugins that are already here that you don't need to install. QGIS Web, Quick OSM, which is a plugin for retrieving OpenStreetMap data. I can enable it. Which other plugin might be useful now? I think that is fine, and I can close. And all the same, you can see OpenStreetMap things here. I mentioned that you can have XYZ tiles, which is just putting OpenStreetMap in the background for you when you are working in QGIS. And you can see that by default, I didn't put anything here now. It's right here. And many other stuff. PostGIS, I will come back to that later. Let's go to GeoNode. So this is GeoNode. This is how GeoNode looks. It's used for sharing data. You can explore the data here, maybe in your small office or in your small municipal assembly or district assembly, government office. You want to be sharing data, but you continue sharing it via a pen drive. Yeah, you can put this on one computer, and so far as the computer is on the network, everybody can access this. Maybe, for example, it's vector data. I can access it. It's some sample data you can see already. I can load this in QGIS. I can download it as in many formats. So maybe, where is it? There should be download layer, which is here. And it pops up here, the data. You can export layer, and let's see how is it going to be exported. Yeah, you can choose file format. There are many. There is shapefile, GeoJSON, KML. So let's just try GeoJSON and export and see what happens. I have not installed anything. Everything was here already. So I tried to open this, and I put it in maybe QGIS and see what happens. Okay. And it's here, zoom to layer, and voila. You can see it loading wherever it should load. With this, you can play around. You have access to all the tools. Let's look at PostGIS. So PostGIS is the data store special data extension for Postgres that they can use to run many things that you do in a desktop GIS, for example, clip, buffer, all these things that you do, many more. You can do all in a PostGIS. So from the PostGIS here on this computer, you have OpenStreetMap data. By default, the OpenStreetMap data comes from the city in which the Force4G event is for that year, because OSGeo Live is released adjacent or at par with the next event. So every year there is a new OSGeo Live. So the next one released before the Force4G that will happen next year. So you can see that these are OpenStreetMap files. If you have idea, but you should have, not that if you have, we are in the OpenStreetMap world here. And if I put points and I zoom to this point, you should see this point loading somewhere in Firenze in Italy. Let me just turn on this layer and let's see if that is true. You can see this is Firenze and in Italy, and it's the OpenStreetMap data model. When I show attributable, you should see what you normally see in OpenStreetMap. It's a lot of data. It's 1.3. Yeah, and you can see the OSM ID of each of the nodes here and what are they. You can see this a power tower. No, I am not interested in these ones. Let's say I want just bars or schools, probably which are points. I have it here. I can go to properties and then sort, and then I can quickly probably filter this. Come on, the screen is tiny, so some stuffs are hiding. I just bring it here. Let me see if I can still try to reduce the virtual screen size. I put it on 100%. Here, it's still too big, so I squeeze the size, and then I can change this. To be on the safer side, I showed you how to run from the ISO. I will turn off this machine and use an existing one, which is a virtual one that I have already. It's a VMDK. So I will start this one. It's the same thing, but just that in the VMDK, we have more data, or not more data, more software, or some things that were removed from the ISO to make it lightweight. What is happening? Somebody, okay, good. This should be fine. Then we can all be happy and see a full screen one. So I go back to desktop GIS right here. There's a folder here, and I can open QGIS, and I can go back to this was we used this recently in Phosphor-G, and this one an exercise. I can go back here. It's the same data, OpenStreetMap, public, and then I put I put points, and I can go back to the XYZ, and I put OpenStreetMap in the background so we know where we are. And according to the OpenStreetMap data model, we will know that the amenity tab is for about amenity school. So let's say I want to just schools. I can just go back and quickly filter without creating a new layer. So I go to source, query, and then I see there are all the keys that you know about amenity is equal to, I can load all unique value. Probably I want, maybe we want perhaps we are interested in getting some here. So perhaps, and then test, and this is 54 rows, and that means 54 features. So I have um, 54 pubs located at the central of Firenze here. Just give me a second. There's some noise from the background. Okay, so I'm not seeing the chat. So if there is something, let me see, I can jump to the chat. I saw some things popping up, so maybe it's a question. How do I find the chat? This and then chat. Okay, I saw just also within OSGeo. I need to know if ODK Central can be installed in OSGeo. Okay. Also, can OSGeo run? Okay, so it's OSGeo Live. OSGeo is the foundation. The project we're using is OSGeo Live. So when we say install, it sounds different. It doesn't sound correct. So it's OSGeo Live. Let me also can OSGeo run in local network hosting via global network. I see it was great providing more services at once. Let's say I need to install with the local network and help my team in. Yes, you can use OSGeo Live in your local network. I'm sure I didn't see the question, but I mentioned it when I was talking. You can use it. Some cloud service providers already run OSGeo Live. We don't have information about this, but that's a good point. I noted down for the PSC so that we are not directing you to a provider, but I know some providers, or we have idea that some providers, for example, the European Union has a project or has OSGeo Live running in the cloud that is used. So you can run it on a network and still connect to the data on a network, local one, whichever. It's Linux, whatever you can do with your Ubuntu server, you can do with OSGeo Live without you might encounter issues or problems, but these are things that you can solve. But out of the box, it should work. If I put this on a network and has a static IP, everybody should be able to access it. A bit too technical for some of us, but just answering that question there. The other one was there was what just one we deal with. I need to know. So ODK Central, I know what you mean. For open data kit data collection. Yes, I think you can install it yourself. You can fix it there, but currently there is no ODK Central in OSGeo Live, but there is a process for including projects in OSGeo Live. So if you're part of the ODK central project or developers, and you want to include ODK Central in OSGeo Live, there is a process for including your project, and you will find that on our website. That's the live.osgeo.org, or I will also add those links to the resources that I will share about including your project. And it's pretty straightforward, and the PhD have to look at it. If the project is open source, free and open source, of course, we will not include a closed and proprietary software in an open source operating system. That is it. We can also look at what is of interest here. There are many tools. We can look at all of them. There is grass here. Let me see. If you do some stuff with grass GIS, there is grass here. There is sample data that you can play with and do many stuff along with. Yeah, I think I'll pause here and welcome some questions since we are in QGIS and QGIS on your computer too. There is something interesting in QGIS. If you are not aware, maybe you need data about all countries, and natural language is a public domain data. If you type world in the coordinate box here and press enter, you should have a world map, which is already in QGIS. So if you have QGIS on your machine, you can also do this. This is not OSGeo Live. This is QGIS specific. So if you need some data about countries of the world quickly, you don't need to go searching about it. You can just type world in the coordinate box here, and you have a world map. And this data lives, it comes with QGIS. So you see where it is installed. It's QGIS resources. So whether Windows or Mac OS or whatever, it's there. Good. I was given 1 hour. It was a lot. I hope you've learned something and understood something amid all the confusions, but we can ask and answer questions now. Please feel free to speak up or use the chat if you want, or if you have any specific request or something you want me to demonstrate now, I am happy to do that as well. And as I mentioned, it's Linux distribution. You can run it without installing. So OSGeo Live is built to run in the offline environment. So if you are organizing trainings for people on QGIS or anything that needs less internet access or require you to download and install some software, you can just put it on a pen drive. Everybody start their computer and you are good to go. When they are done, they still have their operating system. And the beauty is the USB stick or the virtual box comes with the quick start. So the entire website, that is live.osgeo.org, it's on the virtual machine and the operating system. So when you open browser, Firefox, the first thing you see is, you can see this is coming from localhost and every information is here. So you can follow the quick start. You see quick start for QGIS, tutorials that explain a lot of things to you already in the beginning, like some basic things that you can do with the software are already included with sample data that you can go ahead. And you can feel free to contribute or improve this if you see some typo or some mistake, or you want it to be in your language. You can see we have just a few languages here. For the French speaker, we have Francais here. Some of them will be incomplete, but yeah, everything is intact here. Thank you. I hand over to you, Madam Moderator, so that we can welcome some questions. 1 hour is not enough to do so many stuff, but I hope I have been able to cover a wide range of interesting stuff for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Enoch. This is really good. I'm going actually to rewatch the recording so that I can go step by step on whatever you have trained today. Any questions, guys, in the chat? I think you answered all of them. I'm not seeing any so far. Any question, guys, before we close?
Okay, since they are thinking about question, maybe I can add this. With virtual machine. So if you have a computer, you don't want to install OSGeo Live on it, it's fine. But you want to be able to use the resources. Some tools, for example, we're in the OSM area. So a tool like I think is it OSM to PG-SQL. If you process OpenStreetMap data, you need to process OpenStreetMap data extensively. One tool is OSM to PG-SQL. So I think you install this on Windows, or there are some OpenStreetMap specific tools that you cannot run on Windows. So maybe you want to do this. Most of the OpenStreetMap data processing tools are in OSGeo Live. So one trick you can also do is to put it in a virtual machine. But one question that arises is that you want to be able to share data. I want to work on it on my host, which is the Windows or the Mac or the Ubuntu, and then be able to get the data into the virtual box. So all this you can find on the live.osgeo page or find out there is so for example, this box, I have a shared drive here, which is on my own computer. So this here is a folder on my computer. So when I put a folder in it, I can see it in the virtual machine. And when I put something in it in the virtual machine, I see it in my local computer as well. And yeah, I think that's all I can say for now. If you need any further information, just go to live.osgeo.org, and we have a mailing list. If you go to the contact page, a mailing list that you can subscribe to, or you can send a message to. These are channels that you can get in touch. If you are using OSGeo Live, you have any issue or you find a problem, it's also a way of contributing to the OSGeo Live project and as well. Thank you very much. And if there is no questions, yeah, you can find me on the, yeah, where can you find me? Any specific questions for me, I'm happy to answer. I am Enoch, so you can go to osgeo.org. Community, so this is the OSGeo website. It's a big community. You can find members here. Everybody can become a member, and you can find me. Let's see. So you can find me here. And if you need to send me an email, my email is, I can put it here too, if anybody needs to find me. There is a leaf. There should be leaf pad here. Yeah. Okay, it's not working. Gedit. Okay, there are too many things popping up. How do I type my email now? I think there is a leaf feather. Yeah, that's the text editor here. Yep. So this is you can write on me on this. This is OSM related thing. So yeah, this is it. Anybody can write me here. And yeah, that's all I can say for now. We have 3 minutes to go. So if there is any question, and this is the OSGeo Live, live.osgeo.org, and everything here. Please, yeah, if there is anything, I prefer that if you have a problem, contact the mailing list, which you can find here, because that way your problem is available for somebody else. If you send me a private email and I reply, no other person benefits from this again, because mailing lists and forums are helpful. That's how come if you have the same problem, you search it, somebody had it already. If it was a private email, you can't find it. It will just die up in an email. So live.osgeo.org and the mailing list here. I think I can paste all these things in the chat. That should work. Where is the chat window? Okay. No, it didn't work. Okay, that one still didn't work. I will try and paste it somewhere. Copy, and then it's not pasting. But I will send it to your facilitator, and then you can have all these things. Live.osgeo.org. And then, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Enoch. Thank you so much for accepting to come even after short notice. And yeah, just one more request. Is it okay if you can share with me the slides that you use as well? I think they'll be very
Uh,
helpful.
so let me see. Those are old slides already. I have not updated it from last year that much. It's all on GitHub. I will put the
Oh,
link here. But
awesome.
if I update, maybe I update it. I get some small time and update it weekly. Then I have a new repository. So just give me until today, close of. Let's see if I can come up with something, guys.
Awesome. No rush really. Whenever you get time, you can just send me the information. Yeah. Again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone for coming in and have a great day. See you on Slack, guys.
Bye.
Bye.